welcome back to the channel. Today, as you can see, we are on a little MX5, but this is no normal MX5. This is pretty much the one you want to buy if you're buying a Mark 1. This is an import Unos Roadster, the 1.8 variant, but it has the 5-speed manual gearbox. And I want to take this car out because it was just one on eBay as I put the wipers on. Wow, it's been a while since I've been in one of these Japanese variants. We did have a Japanese variant on the channel way back when, but this has just been won at auction on eBay by Jack, and he has a Mark 2 at the moment. And was going to lower it, put wheels on it, maybe even supercharge it, but had a lust for a Mark 1. So he actually won this sight unseen off eBay about 2 days ago, and when I picked it up and I said, you know what, mate, can I take it out? Because he paid 1,200 quid for it, which I think is dirt cheap for one of these days. They are going up in price like an absolute rocket. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how it drives, and if you want to get into one, how much you're sort of looking at, problems, and various other little bits and bobs from the ownership side. But if you do like this style of video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. But onwards to some B-roads. So 1993 Mark 1 MX5, a revolution in small convertible little light cars with not loads of power but loads of fun. 118 horsepower this one came out of the factory with that little 1.8 litre up front. First thing I want to say is try and get an import one, try and get a 1.8, because they are just the better car, the more superior car. This also has an LSD from factory, so it means you can, of course, have a little bit of fun in it. You can break that rear end out if you so wish to. Takes a bit of revving, don't get me wrong, but it is easily achievable. But it also means it drives so much more superior to one without LSD. I have been down the road of driving ones without LSD and ones with LSD, and I can tell you from experience, the LSD models just feel so much better. It's needed in a light car like this, in my opinion. Yes, you don't have all the power in the world, but making a little bit of power with a manual box and a nice cheeky diff out the back, it's just a good time, and it's just a good time. So yeah, this one was bought sight unseen off eBay for £1,200, and it's actually going to be a project car for Jack. He's going to do loads of bits to it, and I'm excited to actually sort of not necessarily follow it on the channel, but do a before and after. So this is the now when he's bought it, what it looks like. It's got a bit of faded paint damage on a few panels. He's going to wrap it, so that's fine. It's 118 horsepower, but he is going to supercharge it at some point. So really excited to see this once it is progressed. But back to today, where it is lowered on some, we can't really find out what make suspension this is, but it's still relatively comfortable, if I'm honest. It is slightly lower from factory. I'd say about 40-50 mil lower from factory, but it still retains some quite good ride quality. And this one has Enki wheels on it, which I believe to be maybe a factory option that you can get on some of these MX5s, imports especially. This one also has, as it's an import, air conditioning. Now, I don't think you're really going to need that in the UK, if I'm quite honest. Just put the roof down, and it's slightly okay weather today. It's quite nice, but it's also a slight chill, you know, it's not too bad. I mean, it's, you know, June in the UK, so it's never going to be crazy temperature if you do put your hand out of the roof, but it's always nice to have that if you, again, are looking for one. AC is always a shout if you can get it for free, you know. It's the drive, though, past all the, you know, what it's worth, how much power they run, the rust problems, which there are some. I, you know, had one of these for the channel. Wow, it must be 5 years ago now. We actually had one of these for the channel, and I modified it. Everybody absolutely hated it, and then HGV ran it over when I was on holiday. So I got rid of it. That was it. I was over it. But I thoroughly enjoyed my time with this car. I did many miles. I did a full summer pretty much in one of these, daily driving it, enjoying it, and just having a laugh. And I must admit, it was one of the best experiences I've ever had in a car, because it was so much fun, easy to daily drive, comfy, really good on fuel, just a nice laid back car. And then when you want to just enjoy it, throw it through some gears and have a laugh, it is the easiest thing to drive. It is the easiest thing to actually just throw around, and that's the best bit about any MX5, especially the Mark 1s. They cracked the nut in what they were after straight away with these cars. They were so good here in 1993, they were superior to pretty much any other small roadster that you could get your hands on at the time. But they've gone down in history as one of the best. That means prices have gone up. Since I bought mine, it was really cheap, mine, white import. I think it was around £600 I paid for it. It was a lovely example. Paint was a bit shoddy, so we sprayed it, put some wheels on it, lowered it, everything. We did loads of stuff to that car, and I really enjoyed it, but the prices have gone up. This one is an absolute steal at 1,200 quid, not too much rush. Yes, the bodywork is questionable if you were to go and have a look at it, but Jack knew his full intention of actually wrapping this car anyway, so it's not actually a problem for him. He wanted to make sure the other bits were nice, like the suspension and how it drove and the diff, and was that okay? Is the interior still in a nice condition? And if you can see past some of the pitfalls of buying, where you see on face value this car might be a little bit more rough around the edges in a sense, you might be able to actually buy quite a nice car underneath if you're willing to actually put the work in. And at the end of the day, if you're willing to put the work in, panels are cheap these days. I know someone that's just bought, Dan, who's just bought an MX5. He's actually bought the front quarters, so the bottoms of them, so you can actually cut them out and put them on. That was a common rust issue when I had mine. I remember mine were really bad, and I actually replaced the wings on mine at one point. But you can now physically buy those bottom bits that actually are rotten, and they're relatively cheap, about 30-40 quid, which is a really good thing, because these have become iconic, because these have become a little bit more, not necessarily sought after, but they are in theory sought after at the moment. There's a few people, especially MX5 fans out there, a Mark 1 is going to be put on a pedestal as one of the best, but it means that people are starting to actually make parts for these, which is really nice to see. Just admit, keeping one of these on the road 28 years later is just a shout. Cars aren't made like this anymore. Everything's big and fat and silly and got airbags all over it, and doesn't feel like this car. Whereas these just feel so right. They feel so poised, and the direction of the steering is exact. The power is right. You can supercharge and turbocharge and driven them all, but I just think from factory a 1.8 with 118 horsepower is still just a really well balanced car, not too powerful. And again, the interior is simple. It's a nice place to be. You've got storage bins, you've got little bits and bobs everywhere. You've got a pop-up headlight button, which is just so cool. And again, you don't actually get cars like this anymore. They don't make them like they used to, and this is a prime example, because the follow-on years of MX5, not that I'm saying the newest one isn't amazing, because I've only actually driven the 124 Abarth variant of the new MX5, so I'd love to shoot the newer MX5, but that was an insane car. But the other ones I've driven have a little bit lacking, I suppose. And to be honest, this one sat on 134, I'm assuming that's miles and kilometers combined. It feels right, it feels tight, it feels not used at all. It feels like it could go for many more miles, which is such a nice thing. You just don't get cars like this anymore. And yes, rough around the edges, there'll be people in the comments like, oh, that looks bad, oh, it's got this and got that. But at the end of the day, I don't think that's a bad thing. If you can see past that and you see the no rust, the wheels, the suspension, the steering wheel, and loads of little bits that you get with it, you're on to a winner at 1,200 quid. So yeah, we will follow this on the channel in the not so distant future. I will do sort of an update when it's wrapped, maybe with lowered wheels, whatever's going on, and then when he supercharges it, that would be really cool. But yeah, what a nice introduction to reminiscing again, one about my MX5 that I used to have. Really enjoyed that car, and the previous ones I've driven, knowing full well what you can do with a supercharger and a turbo on these cars, and a little bit of better set of tyres, better set of wheels, whatever's going on. Yeah, it's just a cool car, this, mate. And if you're in the market for one, try and buy one soon. Try not to buy a rusty one, obviously, but try and get one soon, because they are becoming relatively sought after, in my opinion. If you can get one for around £1,000, you've won, mate, all day long. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you did like this video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't, let me know in the comments below if you like MX5, if you've got an MX5, you want to see any more MX5 content. If you've got a car you want to see on the channel, hit me up, JMFYD, on all social media platforms. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you on the next one.